Ryan Little.
Hey, this is OG with Building Greatness, and today I'm here with my special guest, Monica Jackson, longtime friend, supporter, inspirational, charismatic young lady. She has been, inspired me in a lot of ways and done so many things to be helpful to building greatness before Building Greatness became great. She's very admirable and honorable, and I'll let her introduce herself and tell her story. You are live. Tell the world who you are.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with one of my great friends, OG. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
As OG has said, we've been friends for quite some time, and I've just loved working with people and encouraging people and advocating for people, especially children. And I hope that tonight I can share some wonderful information with whoever's listening, and I look forward to having a great time.
Yeah. So basically, that's what it is. I want to say thank you to all my sponsors out there and all my supporters. Cornelia Wright, Rue Wright, Anthea, Eric Beckles, Anthea and Eric Beckles, Jerry Chisholm's Lady Sensei, Odette Russell and the Swam family, R. Key Spurgeon, Jermaine Carson, Francis Ducorum, Tina Brown, Kim Jones, Deborah Coffer, Terry, the TP Square Show, the man who makes this all happen and brings the family together. Thank you. And everybody else who's tuning in today. I don't want this to be the last time she's here. I want this to be the first of many times she gets here to come and speak, because she's very charismatic. Personally, I think she should be, the next president, but, that's up to her.
A lot of people would agree with you on that one.
Whatever. We might go to war or something with you around. But anyway.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Love and happiness.
Love and happiness. No, I'm only playing. She's good people. So, anyway. So tell me about what you do and how you got started.
Well, right now, I am like a jack of all trades. I wear many hats, but right now at this present time, I am a student at the Princeton Theological Seminary. I am working and I'm just finishing up. So finals was actually this week. I'm finishing up working on my Master's of Divinity. And unlike most people who are going to those places, I do not seek to be a preacher, but to advocate for children who are going through the adjudicatory process. I do believe that it takes a community, and the way in which our nation is built on religious beliefs, and so understanding the foundation in which we were built upon is very important for me, and so that's why I ended up in seminary, and I hope to take that. I came back from doing National Capital Semester, where we introduced faith in public life, sitting in Capitol Hill and listening to a lot of influential people, being a part of a lot of conversation with people who were part of the Obama presidency, and even hearing from some people who are kind of skeptical within the Trump presidency at this time, and what we have to look forward to. So right now I am, really working on building a foundation for what my nonprofit organization, which is Oni's Journey for Juvenile Justice. And
Repeat that.
Oni's Journey for Juvenile Justice.
Okay.
This is a nonprofit organization which I hope will become one of many hubs that will be throughout many states. You're going to pull me across. Okay. One which will be of many throughout many states, which are here to help advocate for children who are going through the adjudicatory process, or who come into contact, their families especially, of the children who come into contact with the juvenile justice system.
Right. Okay. And what was this like at the start? Like, how involved, how is it what are the challenges, some of the challenges you got to go through. I know it's challenging. I know you're a warrior, so. But I know you had some challenges, and what are some of those challenges?
Well, are you talking about just going to seminary in a whole, or are you talking about as far as like family life is concerned? Are you talking about being down on Capitol Hill?
Yeah, well, being on Capitol Hill and trying to advocate, what are some of the challenges you face when you're going through this?
The first challenge I face is just being, number one, a minority. There and sitting at the table with a lot of people who do not understand what it is to be from the wilderness, as I say, right? And the wilderness means to be in community. A lot of people that sit at these tables talk from a different type of place and a different vernacular, right? Their language is a little bit different because they're kind of shut and blindsided to what's happening out here in the world. And they come up with their own conclusions and analysis of what they think is going on and how they're going to fix the problem, right? And so it is very important for us to really, as a community, you as an individual person, it's really important for you to be able to come forward and know that you do have a voice and that your voice does matter. I know we hear that your vote matters, every vote matters. Well, your voice matters, right? Your voice, they need to hear, the people on Capitol Hill need to hear the voices of those people who are going through the things that they're going through. And so I would suggest that the first thing that you do is be very involved in all of the things that are going on in your community, getting out and going and talking, knowing who your governor are, who are your state representatives, and really coming together in groups. And what I find is that if you are, and I know that a lot of people have different religious beliefs, but there is a possibility and a way for people of different religious beliefs to be able to come together in community to fight for the community with you live in, to be able to help create change. And so I really am advocating and pushing for people to be able to be accepting unto one another, and to be able to put to the side personal issues or personal beliefs to be able to see some of this change that we need to happen. And I think that our communities would be a lot better, and that we would actually see the changes that we need to see happen up top if we were kind of to work differently down here at the bottom. So I know people say, oh, it starts at the top. Well, actually it starts here at the bottom, and it has to work its way up so that the top can recognize what's going on. It's kind of a shut door and double-edged sword too, right, for the people who are up there.
Exactly. And when you talk about, that's what my show is basically about, and that's why I wanted to have you, is because I know how hard you fight. I know your track record, and I know this is, again, when you're dealing with Capitol Hill and you're trying to get people, politicians, people in your municipality, they're listening, like, you got to really bang extra hard. You got to be extra loud. You got to be extra effective, and that's one of the things you're good at. And maybe through this show you could maybe bring some people into the network to show them the way, or tell them, just like you said, like, learning who your people in your municipalities are, knowing who your local states people are, your congressmen, your senators, governors, because these are the people who you got to basically take the railroad tracks to get to that point.
Yeah. It is not an easy task, and you are going to hit a lot of walls if you're fighting for something in a specific cause. People don't like change, especially when you're talking about government laws and things, because someone has to say that they're wrong, right? Or someone has to say that there is an issue, and a lot of people aren't willing to say that at this point. And so I think one of the toughest things that I had to deal with was really coming to the realization that there is nothing wrong with me, that I am okay in this process, and I have a right to fight for what I'm fighting for, and that it is a legitimate cause, because some of the things that you will hear will kind of be like, you'll question yourself, right? Like, why am I doing this? Is this like about me, or like, am I doing wrong? Like, someone's gonna come and hurt me? Like, you know, like, but if you really believe in something and you really know and have a passion for it, and you know that there is something that needs to be addressed, my biggest advice to you is, you know, go armored up, see who you can pull on, who's there with you on your side, and you guys join arms and forces and really keep pushing forward regardless of what it is that you may hear, whatever it is that you may see, because I've seen a lot. I mean, as far as my character is concerned, people try to attack my character. I've seen judges like try to personally do things, you know, to come at me because they felt that I was trying to, you know, belittle the court system. But it wasn't that. It was sheerly just to advocate for what justice really means here in America.
Right. And the struggle that continues, because people, you know, get to this point where they're like, you know, oh, the struggle's over. You get to a certain point, like when we did have like certain people in office that were, you know, that were there for 8 years. You know, that person was there not to just for us to say, ooh, we got somebody enough. It was there because there was opportunities to take advantage of why these certain people are in office and their constituents. You know, you want to be able to capitalize on that. And I think some of the people missed the boat because but there's still a lot of things out here that we can do. And I think, you know, one of the things that you're doing, because our youth are our future. And I have a show that comes on Saturday called Youth Voice Collective.
I saw, and your lovely daughter. I saw them. Yes, I saw them. So one of the things that I'm working on, a research project, and it is a very new baby to me. It is called the Redeemed Juvenile Love and Accountability. And it is really focusing on the way in which we deal with juveniles, and we seek to punish them. We have several words for punishment, right? We give accountability, and we have all kinds of words that the legal system uses from state to state in order to say how we deal with behaviors of adolescents and children. And I want to make sure that people are aware, like when we hear mass incarceration, the first thing we think of is black men, right? Large numbers of young black men. Yes. But there is a silent voice, a voice of children, right, that are heard of, like, right? You don't hear about, well, there's mass incarceration of juveniles. There's like millions, over 1.2 million juveniles who are incarcerated right now. Right. And the majority of them are minorities, right? And we would think that the reason for that would be because of drugs and things like that, and it's not. You mostly find that a lot of Caucasian children are actually being locked up for that, but we find that the African Americans who are being locked up right now in our nation are really due to like robbery and for gun charges, right? And that means a lot, right? So I just think about the communities in which I grew up in, and I didn't grow up in like an underprivileged household. I have to say that I chose certain lifestyles because I chose that, but I didn't grow up that way. But I just think about the kids that were around me at that time, like they didn't have much. And so they wanted to be like everybody else. And so, you know, there were certain things that they did that would have been breaking the law in order just to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. And these kids, they're considered felons or being locked up or institutionalized for robbing somewhere, for stealing sneakers or food and stuff, and being sentenced to these places for extended amounts of times, right? And so we have to think about, well, why is that? Right. And we really need to delve into the process of what is it what is it that people are benefiting from for having our children in these institutions, whether they be private or public institutions, right? So we had like the Luzerne County situation where the cash for kids, where the judges were being paid to sentence these kids to these places. But then you also have flip side of things, right, where they have heads in the beds cases now, where basically they are keeping children in these institutions where they're saying they're being worked on mentally, right? Like these are mental hospitals where these children are being kept to be rehabilitized, right? And when we start talking about rehabilitation and things like that, that means that there has to be some type of case management plan that you're working out of, but they actually take children away from and rip them away from any family support system that they have, if they have any, to be able to do so. And I think that they kind of miss the boat on how to deal with the adolescent mind, right? And we're talking about the engagement of children. Most adults don't have the proper reasoning ability until they reach after almost like 25, right? Like after 32 almost. Right.
They can't even read it, right.
Right? So you just think about that. So you're asking for a child to reason. I mean, yes, we have the basic, we know right from wrong, but the reasoning ability, that self-control ability to really self-regulate isn't really developed until later years in life. And so what I'm looking to do is really create a platform, an organization, and a system where we come together as community to be able to help these families as a whole, family unit, right, as a whole, to be able to get them to become individuals who can become prosperous within society, right? Now, there are some extenuating situations where I will say, like, this child, like, did a heinous crime and they really need to be institutionalized, right? So we're not going to sit here and say that nobody, there's nothing to do like that. We're going to recognize, right? We're going to recognize what it is, but we have to also recognize that there's a faulty system in which they are being dealt and handled, and we have to deal with those things that are at fault, where the breakdowns occur, so that we can actually help get them to the proper places they need to be.
The breakdown is where you said, where the breakdown occurs. Now, I do analyze some of those things, like, I hope I say it right, the latchkey kids. I was a latchkey kid because my mom had to work, so it allowed me freedom
Jersey
to do.
City Latchkey, I remember that. Yeah, my kids were a part of that program too.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's just the point that my mother did not have time to really raise me because she had to work. And so now you have today that both parents have to work. So it leaves these kids without supervision. And then there's whole communities of kids with no supervision. So these kids, like up here in Stroudsburg, in this area, and other areas, not just here in Stroudsburg or the Pocono area, but you find large amounts of kids with no supervision and no constructive activities, to do besides basketball, besides, imagine if you're not a kid who plays basketball, what do you do? Or say, you play basketball and you want to do something else. You have all these options, but there are no options available. So the breakdown occurs, I always say, in the community, and end up, because some of the parents got to work. They don't got no choice. So it's not like, they're bad parents. They're like, okay, I got to pay the bills. And because of the type of system we live in, it requires both parents to do that, to make ends meet.
Well, let me say this too, and again, this is just assessing the entire situation, right? And there's so many moving parts to all of this, right? You have to have the ability to trust people, right? And right now, our trust for one another is like zero zilch, right? We don't trust anybody, and we're, especially with our children, right? So, and in community, we've seen a lot of foul play, and it's not like how it used to be. Like when I was growing up, like everybody was family to me. Even if they weren't family, I didn't know that they weren't family until I got older. I always thought, so-and-so across the street was my auntie, and she was my auntie for real because she acted as if she was my auntie.
That's the same way, right?
Yeah, we don't have that anymore. And that trust factor is very, very needful. It's needed. in order for us to be able to come together in community. And that's why I said that it's going to take a lot of people to be able to put personal thought processes and beliefs aside to be able to connect with one another so that you can build some type of support system and start to create a community around yourself, right?
Right.
And so these types of organizations, the hub that I'm talking about, is a place in which we can do that, right? It is a center that will be able to say, well, we have lots of people who are coming together from community to be able to come together to enrich our children so that our children know that there is not just one or two people looking after them or no one at all, but there's a community of people that they can go to who will have an understanding of what it is to grow up. Right.
Exactly.
And that's the big picture here, right? Is that we have to all remember as adults that we have to remember what it is for a child to grow up.
Yes.
And as they're growing up,
stray away from that, sometimes forget what it is like.
Yes. And so it is just like, for me, it's really important for me to reach out to people who are in community and who are, just wanting to help.
Right.
To help each other raise each other's children. And I'm not saying this out of like fluff in the air. I'm saying this as a prime example. Like, I have 5 children myself, right? And so I know what it is to be a married mom with 5 kids, and I know what it is to be a divorced single mom with 5 kids. And I know that it was hard either way, and not to have community opens the doorway for a lot of things to happen, whether it's the Division of Youth and Family Services coming through the door, or whether it's school officials calling you because they think something's going on at home because your kid is acting out. It may be nothing that's going on, but the sheer fact of you're trying to make it, right? You're trying to make it with your kids, and there not being enough support systems and people to step in where there are little voids. And
support system is the key. That's exactly, those are the pillars. You know what I mean? It's a support system, that is broken down and deteriorated over the years. So, that's where, I think that's where the action starts. We have to start having these pillars. Like yourself, you're a pillar. Genesis Radio is a pillar. We have people who work in here who like Russell, Big AC Russell, and Kenneth Rudd. They work in the community in Staten Island and in New York City, and they do a lot of good things in the community. So we have to rebuild these pillars, and from those pillars, we could build a structure around that, and continue doing, because, like, unfortunately, we got to work, since that trust level is gone with our immediate neighbors and people. We have to kind of build a external support system
and not exhaust them, right? Because that's what happened is we build these things, and we have a key people that we all pull on, and we exhaust them. And so we have to be mindful that it takes more than just one or two. It takes a whole village to raise a child.
Right.
So if it takes a village to raise a child, then we really need to, open up our minds and ourselves to say, well, what can I contribute to raising and being in community, even with my hectic schedules, right? Right. So it takes a lot to raise kids, right?
Yeah, and you have 5, so I only know. You don't look like you have 5, but I know that the struggles you go through is enormous, because 2 people with kids can be challenging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, but the fact that you're a warrior, you're super intelligent, and that you're very crafty in a way, you're very tactful when you do things, that kind of helps you prepare. It doesn't lessen your burden, but it helps you prepare for a lot of things. You're more ready when things occur. And now that you're in a position to advocate for young people, you are also being a pillar and helping the community as well as your own kids now. So,
they're the reason why I'm doing this. This is out of personal experience. I've watched what the system can do to your children personally, and so because of that, I take this very seriously, and especially to young children. who may not have done anything wrong, how they can get caught up in a system and
Right.
what that actually looks like. And so my heart yearns for the kids and their families, because I don't think that without my faith, like my own personal faith and knowing who God is to me, I don't think that I would have been able to get through what I went through with my daughter at this point in time. But God is good. I'm still here. I'm still standing. We're still maneuvering through the process, and I look forward to what is going to come from all of this.
And so, what are your goals ultimately with this? What is the position you want to see yourself, and what is the effect you want to have, and in what community, where you live, globally, internationally, or just domestically in the United States? What is your ultimate goal?
So for me, I really don't have a position per se that I want to be in, but I would say that I'm already there, that I have been placed in that position to be an advocate. And to be able to help others see and recognize that there is a need for more advocates, right? For more people to step up and say, hey, yes, this is an issue. And I would love to be able to be a part of the process of revamping and restructuring the laws and legislations which concern children, who are anything dealing with them and their well-being and their welfare. And I would love to have these hubs open up across. If it could be in every state and it's needed in every state, I would love to have it within every state. I'm not the person, even though I'm a leader, I do not have to be in all, and I don't have to run all, and nor do I desire to run all.
You're definitely a leader.
Right.
You have some leadership, qualities and abilities.
But I also recognize that there are other people who are here like me, right? And
right,
though it may be few right now that I know, but I know that they are out there, right? And I know that people are passion driven about children and ensuring their safety and success, right? Their overall growth success, and I would really love to be able to see these things come to fruition and see communities come together to raise these children together, so that we have healthy adults and crime rates drop for our children, and we don't have to have these institutions that create and generate billions of dollars off of our children's backs in order for a very few to stay wealthy, because that's really what this is all about. That it is not what I think, it's what I know, and being in the places that I've been in, and sitting in the seats that I've sat in, it is about money. It is about globalization. You go to other nations and other countries, and you will find that they don't have what we got. And their crime rates are not like ours. It's a little bit different, or they even have things that are happening there that are similar to ours, but they're not capitalizing off of institutionalizing bodies, right? We have created a system in which we create and generate money off of a body.
Yes.
The body has become the value. And because the bodies are so indispensable, right? Like they're like, I can dispose of you and get the next one.
Right.
I'm just going to go through as many bodies as I can. It doesn't matter as long as I'm getting money. Because as far as you are concerned, you just sitting in the prison system is a couple $1 billion.
Right.
A day, right? Like you, just one body sitting there, right, is a couple $1 billion a year for one person. So I think that we have to really open up our minds about what's really happening here in our world today,
and be prepared for that fight.
Yes,
because
the fight is ugly. It is real ugly. Like for me, it's been really ugly, and like I said again, it will mess with your mind. It will make you wonder, like, is this what I'm really supposed to be doing? Like, oh my God, like they're going to destroy my character. But at the end of the day, I have to say that if God has placed me in this position to be able to bring forth change, that I'm willing to be a martyr for this cause, to bring forth change. It's like Martin Luther King, right? The change didn't happen when he was alive. The change happened after he died.
Right.
And so if that is what causes people to open up their eyes, a tragedy like that is what causes people to open up and recognize the wrong, then I don't have a problem being a part of that process.
Right. And I mean, any process that requires us to liberate ourselves from the claws of capitalism, capitalizing on bodies. It's not wrong, capitalism, but it's a problem when you capitalize on human bodies, whether it's the healthcare industry, whether it's youth service, whether it's prison. It's always an ability to drug the kids, lock them up, stuff them away until we can pack those cans as much. It's no different than packing slave ships when you really think about it. Just pack them in there until we, get the use out of them. So we do have to take a look at our side and know that is going to be one of the challenges, because they're not, capitalism is not going to give up and just say, oh, you're right. It anticipates wanting more bodies. And, so we have to carefully read, we have to first change hearts and minds, and I think that's where it starts at. Is when you start getting to the hearts and minds of people and they understand that, look, everybody can get money, but we don't have to do it this way. And you can actually help kids and get money. You don't have to stuff them away in a prison or a youth center, And I've been through the whole entire system myself when I was younger. Unfortunately, being a hard-headed young man like I was, I had to experience the system in many ways and understand it was being institutionalized. I understand it from the inside out. You know what I mean? I've also worked in that field. I used to work at a place called Children's Village up in Dobbs Ferry, New York. And a lot of those people up there, a lot of the kids were like hundreds. And you used to have 50 kids come in, 50 kids go out. You know what I mean?
Always heads in the beds. We going to get that money, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So, and there's also other systems that capitalize, like the food services that require the food, the medications for the kids.
That's why the penal system is the number one money-making machine here in our nation. And they're not looking to get rid of, they're looking to build more. And so what does that mean for our communities, right? That's what we really need to think about. But what you said was so important about changing the hearts and minds.
Do you mind getting... Yeah,
you want me to come over?
Yeah, just so I want people to see what you're saying.
Okay. So what you said about changing the hearts and minds of people, right? For me, that is where the faith part comes in, right? Because when we talk about community mores, right? Mores is what you've been taught to and what helps to build you in your thinking and the way in which you do things within communities, right? That is very important. The foundation in which you are brought up is where your thinking and your heart stuff comes from, right? And if we are to be able to come together and really learn what love is in community, and when I say love, it's like that agape love that Christians talk about, right? When they say, that unconditional love, being able to unconditionally love one another despite what another person's view is going to be very essential and important for us to be able to move forward. We see a lot of these rifts and stuff that we have in community because we can't seem to love one another on the same page, because it's like, you grew up that way and you think that way. Right. That ain't how I grew up and how I think, so you crazy. So I'm going to stay over here and you stay your crazy self over there, which kind of creates the division and the divide, and it won't allow for us to be able to come together in community. Now, none of what I'm saying is an easy fix, right? All that I'm saying and what I'm talking about causes and means severe dedication and work, and it also means becoming uncomfortable and being willing to lose out. And
I like that word, uncomfortable.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't like that word, but that's the most essential word to leadership is you're going to be put in an uncomfortable position and a compromised position.
Yeah.
And resilience, as Edmund Dorso says, is how you come out of it.
Yes.
And how you persevere,
Yes.
you know.
Well, you won't find liberation until you become uncomfortable, right? Liberation doesn't come out of just, oh, well, I'm going to be okay doing the same thing that I've been doing in my little hut over here. Liberation comes from being uncomfortable, going through the stretching place in order to be snapped from the old thing into the new. You have to be made anew. And so I don't want to get churchy on anyone, but
tell them like it is.
That's like that born again.
Yeah, I was thinking that in my head when you said that.
That's that rebirth, right? Yep. And I tend to kind of stay away from using religious talk in these realms because a lot of people start to shut down, and that's what I've learned doing faith in politics. Like I went to Capitol Hill specifically to engage in church and state. Right. And so when I say that to people, a lot of people go like, "What? How do you do that? How does that work?" Right? Well, this is how it works. It works as a way to say, our whole entire nation, our country, it was built upon on the belief of a certain type of religion, right? And this religion is what built communities, and the communities began to structure themselves, and governmental systems began to ignite and wrap around it. And whether or not we want to come to grips with it or not, when we think of stuff, our mores and all that stuff come from the religious foundations upon which this country was built. Whether it was right or wrong, I'm going to leave that up to y'all to decide. I have my own personal opinion, but that's for a whole nother segment.
Are you doing a Kermit the Frog with tea like I am?
Yeah, I'm going to sip my tea over here, and we can talk about that for another segment. But being in a seminary has taught me a tremendous amount, and I wouldn't change this experience for the world. I knew God before I went, and I'm glad I did. I knew Him for myself because this information that I learned, especially in a scholarly environment, I think that's where I say I'm most privileged to be at Princeton, is because it's a scholarly environment, and so it requires you to really research and to know. So I'm not walking away with rhetoric. I'm walking away with actual knowledge and the facts, right? And so when people want to talk about books of the Bible, I say, well, the whole Bible is incomplete. Like this is, I can confidently say certain things and know that it is factual, but also be able to say within the facts that, hey, listen, there is something that is a given, right? That we are to love. In order for change to happen, we are to love one another. Our children need us. They need us in community.
Right. But I mean, ultimately, I would say that when you use religion and we look at it, we have to understand to reverse. It's like reverse engineering, when you reverse engineer something, you got to know how it's been made. Therefore, that's how you know how to go forward. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. And when you go forward, you could say that I've done the work, I've looked up the facts, I've researched it. Now, if other people haven't researched it, that's not your problem. You're not here to make the horse drink the water. You're here to plant the seed. And because, again, like you said, research and facts are so important, and gathering this information is not easy. Because sometimes you got to go against your belief system. You got to go against things you were raised on and things that you knew. It doesn't mean they were ultimately wrong. No. It just means we got to snatch the principle out of some of those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyway, ultimately, that's what I was just trying to say. I don't want to interrupt you, but, so, that's it. So.
No. Do we have, I don't know, like, how all this works, right? So I don't know if, like, we have people who have questions, because I see, like, people are writing.
Yeah, if anybody has questions, please.
Or comments or anything, I would love to, like, talk and engage with people, because that's what I love to do. I'm a people person.
888-304-4401. That is 888-304-4401. Please call in if you have anything you want to discuss with Monica Jackson. Have her while she's here, because she came a long way for the show, and I want people to, understand that this is gonna. Hopefully, we'll be able to continue this conversation. But make sure. Let me put this phone closer. You continue talking because so make sure our phone is here and close by.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. I'll tell you what to do.
So even for our listeners or our viewers who are on here, are we able to see what they've?
Somebody's
asking?
calling.
Oh,
okay.
Cool.
Hello, you on Building Greatness. You're here with Monica Jackson and OG Aikens. How can I help you?
Good evening, Monique and OG Aikens. It's Cornelia from New Jersey. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing good. A great show. I mean, each week I listen and I go, this is a great show, but each week it just gets better and better. And I love, your topic about our youth. I've had an opportunity in my nursing career to work with the child and adolescent population. There's a lot of work to be done.
Yes.
And I just want to say to you, Monique, and of course, OG, I say it to you with Youth Voice Collective as well, and your commitment and dedication, that when you have a message inside of you, because I hear you saying, well, I'm not sure, and keep following that. Find out how are you being prompted to move forward to make a difference, because what you are talking about this evening, you have a lot to give, and you will be making a difference. And just follow however, your spirit is guiding you to move forward. Just go for it, and you will see the doors open up so that you're making a difference and helping other people.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wright. And just so everyone knows, I am looking for people and advocates, counselors, attorneys, psychologists, psychiatric doctors, anyone who is willing to, wanting to come together in community. I am looking for advocates and those people to be able to help with what it is that I am trying to do. So if you would like, you can actually email me at, it is B as in boy, diligent, DILIGENT at Y, just the letter Y, ymail.com. And I would look forward to, just speaking with you guys or being in contact and communication with you. And that could be wherever, because I travel all over the world, right?
Yeah.
So, do you? Are
yes.
you doing that? That's wonderful.
Yes.
I hope I have an opportunity to speak with you again. I definitely will follow up with you via email. Because I do think that we all have a message and a way that we can make a difference.
Absolutely.
And particularly as it relates to our youth, because these are our leaders for tomorrow.
That's
Yes.
right.
And if we leave them by the wayside and just push them aside and have them in places where when they come out of that, they are not able to operate in society, that's a problem. So let's start with trying to move towards a healthier, younger group of people coming into our society in the future.
That's right. Thank you so much, Ms. Wright. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Wright.
All right.
Thank you for your input and your
right.
constant support and your constant engagement. This is what we're looking for from our audience and the community, is to engage us. If we're not saying something right, engage us. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
If there's something that you could add on, add on. And this is you're a perfect example of what we're looking for. People to step up and speak about it. Let's talk, So we will definitely have her here again. I'll make sure she gets here. I'll find a way to get her here. We'll have to kidnap her or something, but we'll get her here. Okay?
I am going to get there. I promise you. I really am looking towards possibly next week to getting there, because I certainly would like to meet, these wonderful people that you have brought together, OG. You're doing great, honestly. Building greatness, Youth Voice Collective, Genesis Radio. I'm just proud. This is our younger generation making a difference.
Yes, this is it. And we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking forward to that. And thank you. And I'll give you Monica's number and information so that you can follow up with her when the show's on.
All right. I thank you so much. God bless. Have a good evening. I'm listening.
You too.
Okay, thank you.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. No. It was actually.
It's ringing.
That's not ringing. That was me making it go up.
Oh.
Because it was off. The ringer was off. So, originally.
Live radio.
Yeah, we live. Don't worry about it. It's okay. We're still here. But anyway, you see what I'm saying? So that's the example. And unfortunately, like I said, it does take a lot of work because a lot of people don't understand the work. Like you said, a lot of people are not prepared to put in that work.
Yeah.
And it's grueling. You know what I mean? And but you're doing it, and I expect you to because I know how you are, and you don't turn down no battles. You're a warrior for real.
Yeah.
You are cut from that cloth, so I know what you have to go through because we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we have to continue to work together. And if there's anything I could do, remember Genesis Radio is a platform for you.
Yeah.
And you will always have a platform here at Genesis Radio because this is what we do. And we reach globally. We are reaching the globe. People in Uganda are listening to us. People in Germany are listening to us. People in California listen to us. Yeah. So wherever you can find these tools and wherever you can find these gems,
Yeah. It's so funny because you're like, oh, she's a warrior, she's this, and everybody has warrior bones within them, right?
Nah, you know what I'm talking about.
I know that there's some extraterrestrial warrior bones in me, right? Oh, I think we have another caller.
We have another caller. Hello, Building Greatness. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, who's this?
Hi, my name is Lena. I didn't get to catch all of the show.
How you doing, Valina?
Hi, Valina.
I'm doing good. And it's Anika? Is that what your name is?
It's Monica.
Monica, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well, I didn't get to hear much of it, but from what I'm hearing, it sounds great. And I haven't gotten to do too much just yet, but I'm also very interested in linking up with you and helping out with the youth because, again, like you've already said, are the future. And if we don't pour into them, they're going to be what's holding the torch later, and we're going to be in trouble.
Yes, exactly. And we all have to take these steps. And fortunately enough, a lot of women are doing it. The men, I don't know, they're falling off a little bit. We need more men, but the women, y'all ladies, you're making it happen, and that's why I admire, when ladies make it happen because, men have to step up,
Well, so I gotta play double-edged sword too with that, right? It's because with our men, they are part of the system, right? They are part, especially our African American men. They are the men who are being these bodies, right?
Right.
And so it is hard for them to be a part of something in which they can't and are being restricted to being a part of. And so that is why it's so important for us to figure out a way to stop it from the door. And the door starts with the youth because they're starting with our youth, right?
Yes, the investment.
And so they start to give them these labels and names, as Michelle Alexander puts in her book, The New Jim Crow. If you have not read it, please, I think that is probably one of the best books that you could go read.
What is it called again? Say it again.
It's called The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Michelle, if you're listening, hi. That is probably one of the best books that you could read about mass incarceration of the adult male, right? But it speaks upon how we get here, how we got to this process. But we have to now take it a step further to say it doesn't start at just adulthoods, because it starts with our children, who they now are giving labels of felons to at the age of 13 and 14 years old.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I think that starts with the adults, the mothers, the fathers, or even the staff, the teachers at school.
Yes.
Setting up programs for these children after school. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I, was home alone after school, and just thank God that my mother poured into me And, it didn't affect me or impact me in a negative way, but these kids are left home, nothing to do, and they get into all sorts of things. So there needs to be some programs set up after school to get these kids' minds going, developing in a positive way, something for them to do positive.
And Valina, I want to just piggyback really quickly off of what you just said about the teachers and stuff. We have a lot of these people who are here who say they're for children and they're children advocates, but they are mandated reporters, right? So instead of becoming mandated reporters about a specific child abuse or neglect situation, we need to become mandated lookers, right? And that means that we're mandated advocates. We are looking to seek what we can do to be able to help these children and these families. And it's not just about the individual child, as when you go through the adjudicatory process, it's about the individual child and restorative justice and all that stuff. It leaves out the family portion. But what are you restoring back to with these children if there was nothing right to begin with? What we need to do is really focus on the entire family unit and now look to how can we now come together and create what I call, and this is what my name is for, transformative justice, where we are transforming not only the child, but the family unit and community in which the child is being brought in and brought up in.
Right.
And that's something that a lot of people don't look at. That's a really great point, Monica, and I thank you for putting yourself out there, and I'm willing to do whatever I can, and we can link up as well.
Okay, great. Well, again, I can be reached as B as in boy, diligent at the letter Y, just the letter Y, ymail.com, and you can send me an email and shoot me whatever questions you have, and hopefully we can come together and get some cohort of people who are in your community, and if not, then I will be more than happy just to add you on to the team and see how we can move forward from there.
Yeah, and Valina, I'll have all her information locked into the video on Facebook, and once it's uploaded to the website, there'll be all her information will be up there, so everybody can have her and stay in touch with her, and y'all can link up and we can build this coalition, because you're going to need it, and we have the bodies and the minds and the hearts to do it. Thank you, Valina, for calling in.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Bye, Monica.
Oh, the next time also, the next time you're on the show, maybe we can have both of you on the show at the same time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Take care. God bless.
All right. God bless. Okay. Yeah, there's people out here. So we have 5 minutes and we're going to be closing it up. But, I just want this to be part one. I really would like you to come back because a lot of people are interested. I know I'm going to get a lot of feedback once I post this video and I start getting the feedback, because I have a big network of people who really would love to be involved in some way from all backgrounds, the ones that you described. And, I'm going to connect them with you, and we're going to just keep pushing this train forward because you're doing a great thing. And even though you've always done great things, I've always known you to do great things and be effective in all that you do and charismatic, inspirational. I mean, that is basically who you are. And, but this is a cause that you could really rally the people around.
It is, and I look forward to what's in store, and I look forward to all the people who will be coming together to help me with this cause. And I just I put my head down and I'm going forward, with my shield up, and I'm ready for the battle that's to come ahead. I think that I got through a lot to begin with. So whoever's coming along, we're now entering into a different segment. I've got to hear what I needed to hear in order to get to the next step in this. Now I'm looking for some great board of directors to be a part of that, in this entire nonprofit organization. And so I'm just looking for those people who are eager, who are really looking to create the change, not about a name or a title, but really about creating effective change within community and bringing together people in the name of our juveniles, in the name of our children, in the name of our futures. And so I thank you once again, OG, for having me on the show. I want to thank Genesis Radio for allowing me to be here and to be able to speak and give all the wonderful fruits that I have to give. And I look forward to coming back.
Yeah, we're going to look forward to you coming back. So I appreciate you. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to all our supporters. Anthea Wright, Eric Beckles, Cornelia Wright, Jennifer Kelly, Keith Spurgeon, Jermaine Carson, Odette Russell. Everybody, thank you for showing up. Tina Brown. Everybody, Michael Marino, thank you. Over and out. We are out of here.